Today we are in Hoakalei. There's not really a suburb like this anywhere on the island except for here. Hoakalei is the premier other half of the greater Ocean Point neighborhood in Ewa Beach. A seller reached out to us and said, hey, I'm going to sell my home in Hoakalei. Shout outs to Jay. We went to their home. We went over all of the different possibilities, the strategies. Sell contingent, sell non-contingent. Get a post-closing occupancy, no post-closing occupancy. Carry 2 mortgages, do a HELOC. We went over all of the nuanced, crafty ways to make this move. In the end, they decided we aren't going to sell because we can't get away from Hoakalei. For them, it's the country club. Even though they're not members of the country club, it's the fact that it's there, the feel of it. For them, it's this. It's this Waikiki water sports lagoon, what it is and what it's becoming. It's the evening food truck events with kids playing in the grass here. It's this elevated feel out in Ewa Beach with solid, newer, double wall construction, vinyl closing windows and doors, manicured yards, more mainland style home, not a Hawaii plantation home that's on stilts on post and pier. And you know, you feel like the chickens laying the eggs and you're on the windward side with the ko'olaus. They want to stay here for what Hoakalei is and what Ocean Point is. And so today I'm gonna bring in Kenny from our team who actually lives in Hoakalei. He's gonna show us around here and why he and his family decided to live in this neighborhood versus other neighborhoods in the area. You know what? Just straightforwardly, we should sell more homes in Ocean Point, Hoakalei. We have so many people watch this channel that are relocators. This is a big relocator neighborhood. It's a big PCS neighborhood. We sell homes in here, but we wanna sell more. Kenny from the team, he met us at Waikiki. We drove down here, what, like half a mile?
If that.
You live in Kamakana?
I do.
You live in Kamakana.
3 blocks that way.
Kenny got into it. He's like, hey, I can give some of the negatives, some things that have been happening recently around the neighborhood. We're gonna save those things, the tea, if you will, for towards the end. And we're just gonna talk about the neighborhood first. Shout outs to Jay. They were considering selling in here. They may still in the future. But as soon as we sat down at their kitchen table, they were like, we don't wanna sell this place. We love this place. I want to walk down here and show them this alleyway and like what makes Hoakalei and Ocean Point look the way it looks on the outside is in part because the way it looks in the back. We'll get to that, but what separates Ocean Point from Hoakalei, you could say that the whole greater thing is an Ocean Point neighborhood, but the Hoakalei specifically is centered around golf courses and pools. A top golf for surf or a water country club of sorts.
You almost want to call it a water park, but it's not slides. It's the surf pool, paddle, and the bicycle boats and little floaties and stuff like that. It's fun. Waikiki is cool.
That's what separates it from Ocean Point, right?
It does.
And Ocean Point's older, so when I was in high school, they were just clearing the dirt for Ocean Point. This didn't exist. This was still just trees or fields or whatever it was. We can look up here, this little lanai balcony with specific kind of Hawaii-inspired wood accents on the railing, trellis sort of things here. We can point to the townhomes over here. Notice how the windows protrude out. You have these shutters that are lifted. You have the lanai, the archways. Hoakalei, they did extra.
Yeah, half a mile that way, half a mile that way. Within Hoakalei, that's the elevated.
Even in Ocean Point proper.
Yeah.
Like Kanakai, Spinnaker, these other townhome areas, they don't have those, just these touches, right? So it's kind of like stucco-ish on the bottom. But then board and batten on the top. So there's a wood with the vertical strips of wood. That sort of Kalapuwai market plantation feel sort of thing, though it's very intentional.
That's actually the same floor plan of the house that we got. There's 2 other little options there where we have, I call it a Juliet balcony. So where that single window is, there's another little lanai that you can step out onto. It's not wide enough for a chair or anything, but
because Romeo is calling Juliet.
My 4-year-old likes to have his own lanai.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a little wall on the porch, so there's a little bit more privacy, and we can get away with leaving our slippers out.
Shout out in the comments. Kenny doesn't film with us all the time, so he's not like Mahe, who's like trying to jump in and da-da-da. So when you guys see me pulling Kenny in, gas him up in the comments. So you got it, Kenny. I've heard people refer to Hoakalei as like resort style living. Is it resort though? Because when I think resort, I think of like Colony in Hawaii, Ko'olina. That's like really resort. Yeah. This is resort-ish.
You're stumbling on a little bit of the good and the bad.
Okay, we'll save the tea for later.
Yeah, save the tea for later. But, so yes, it's resort-style living in the making. If you think of Waikiki and what it's going to be, rather than the beginnings of what we're seeing now, and just the slow process of that development. That's what everybody that bought here 3 years ago was hoping might already be done.
Yeah.
So it's good to see what's there, and we like what we see so far, but so far, right? And there's
just 'cause
multiple
something-
golf courses makes it still feel resort-like.
Would you say this is resort
Country-
feeling?
It's not Koalina.
You know about resort. You live on an actual resort. If there aren't tourists in bad aloha shirts with sunscreen on, is it a resort in Hawaii? If there aren't
Yeah, resort-ish without the tourist activity.
without the economy and the shops that make it
Right.
resort.
Right.
We're just gonna push through because living in an association like this
They're doing yard work every day.
every day.
I mean, they do a great job. It's clean. The landscaping is beautiful. It's very pedestrian friendly. That side of Kauniula has the dotted line down the middle of the double wide sidewalk for joggers, and it's a resort style, but it's more residential than it is resort, for sure. We don't have hotels. We don't have Four Seasons.
It's not a Rain Spooner store.
Right.
Although there might be at some point over there.
I would not doubt it.
Yeah, Rain Spooner's like $130 aloha shirts.
Right.
Let's walk over there. You can't show Hoakalei Ocean Point without showing the alleyways.
Right.
But why did you guys choose to live here in 2021?
Really the most common wants and needs, the dual wall, vinyl sliding windows, mainland feeling home,
Or-
garages.
I almost feel like we're not throwing shade or there's no slight to that. I mean, like modern home, like not a old Hawaii shack style home, which like Mahe, for example, that's what she wants.
I like that.
She wants an older style Hawaii home. We have buyers buying in the 2 million range that like want the old Hawaii plantation feel. But if you want to feel like a sturdy home that the big bad wolf's not going to huff and puff and blow down, these builds in Eva are it. And Hoakalei is maybe the most sturdy looking and feeling of all of them, right?
Really for us it was the kids and being comfortable for the family and having what they were used to. At 1 and 3 when we moved here, that was a very high priority for us. They've been to other friends' houses that are Hawaiian style, jealousy windows. My mom just bought a condo up the road a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the style of those townhouses. And they love it. So we may not have a long-term future here. This might be a rental at some point. We may buy something else later, but those were the things that attracted us in 2020.
So military wife's.
Yep, wife's
in the Air
military,
Force.
Retiring very soon, a few months.
guys
But
are
we're
coming
coming from LA.
LA.
She was at a joint base not too far from LA Air Force Base. And we were living in it was a zero lot, but stucco, LA style, tile roof, small backyard, and just that was what we were used to, and we were trying not to downsize too much. Boys were already used to their own bedroom.
Let's talk about this. All of Ocean Point and Hoakalei, you have these, well, not all of Hoakalei, right? Detached garages.
Not all, 80+%.
Pretty much all of Ocean Point and majority of Hoakalei, you see these detached garages. I know some people might be thinking like, is that just for townhomes? No, it's single family as well. For the most part, you have the same 2-car garages. Occasionally there's a 3-car situation, or a third space where you can like open a gate and drive in and park on cement. I don't know, I don't hate them, but we just had buyers buy for 1.5 million cash. They could have bought here. They wanted to be in Eva. They wanted a nice newer house. They wanted a bigger house. They were like, we don't like detached garages. I was like, that's enough for you not to. They're like, yeah, we just don't want a detached garage. In Hawaii, where square footage comes at a cost, this is not a situation where you get to use your garage as easily for square footage because you got to park in there. If you look around, there's not a ton of street parking. You're going to have to park at least one of the cars in there.
Some of these parking spaces that you see around where the mailboxes and where the pool are guest parking during the day, but you can't park there overnight, and you cannot park in the alleyway because you got to have access for fire and garbage trucks,
they will
whatever.
tow you quick.
Yeah, you'll be gone in a couple hours. They do have security that kind of roams the neighborhood. They're out there throughout the day to make sure that people are parked in the right spot. No parking right where we're standing. You would think that this would be perfect street parking. For the most part, you can only, on any front street where you've got front doors and you're on the front of the house, you can only park on one side. And some of them you can't really park at all because it's a park playground,
It's very intentional. And for some people that's a deal breaker because it's annoying and they're like, yeah, but I put my gym in my garage, so I need to street park one car. For others, they hate the way the rest of Eva looks. And Kenji can pull up some footage from our Eva Gentry tours. Anytime you turn a corner, it's like, who can go because there's cars on both sides. That's annoying too. I would love it if you were allowed to street park, but I was the only one doing it. That would be ideal.
Struggle to find a parking spot and maybe have to park a couple blocks away if you put the gym in the garage. Or struggle with, go ahead, come on through, pull over, and let, because only one car can get down because there's cars parked on both sides.
Ocean Point nor Hoakalei are communities where you're leaving your surfboards in the front yard. HOA is not having that.
You could probably leave them up on the porch, but not for storage.
Yeah, not for storage.
No.
Yeah, I mean, because in some neighborhoods, if you're living in a townhome, like over there, you might have your boards at the front, because where else are you going to put them? You start to run out of storage.
Yeah.
That's not going to fly here. I've even heard of people getting dinged for leaving their slippers out front. Just having, you know, that's a very Hawaii thing. Take off your shoes. One of our clients bought in Hoakalei. The sellers didn't disclose that they had the wrong color paint. Turns out they were 2 shades off from gray, and the association came and said, you need to tone it down 2 shades, and was forced to repaint. If that didn't exist, you wouldn't have this. Behind me, there's some guys painting a home, right? In these associations, whether it's Hoakalei or Mililani Town Association, there's designated colors that homes can be. My pro tip for you, my recommendation is use one of the approved vendors. If the association says these are the 5 painters that are on our approved list, use those, even though they might cost a little more. If anything's screwed up, they should have a policy where they come out and fix it. What we learned in this previous escrow is that if the home was painted and painted the wrong color and there hasn't been an association review, when you order the association review, it takes longer than an escrow would take. So you couldn't get it done in the 30-day period of buying a home. It's not possible. So if somehow the paint were the wrong color, you might be out of luck. If you're gonna pick a painter, pick an association approved one, especially in a community like this. We like to use First American Title, who came in and cleaned up that mess and got the home repainted.
Another little note here, is anything on this side of the sidewalk, your responsibility. There's approved plants, there's things that you can and cannot do, so it's a part of a design approval, kind of like...
On the townhome side, the association takes care of that front.
Correct.
I mean, front yard is a stretch, but front grass patch.
Yeah.
Single family, you're responsible?
Single family, you're responsible for everything this side of the sidewalk. Your sprinklers water that grass, but they maintain it. They'll let you know if it's dry and tell you to kick up the water a notch. You maintain this, you cut it, you can design it the way you want to within their approved plants and colors, and whether you can do rocks.
So if your sprinklers aren't working, or you're like, I don't want to use the water, and this starts to turn brown in front of your home, that's on you?
It's on you.
Man.
It's on you. Well, at least I don't have to cut it.
If you want to put a swing here, park bench, or like a bird feeder because you think it's going to be cute, maybe you can't do that here.
The design team has to approve it, just like paint.
Where we used to do real estate, our previous company, there was someone who lived in Hoakalei and now moved to Ocean Point. So they like the greater Ocean Point feel. They like this neighborhood. But they had real estate signs and banners on their car, and they weren't allowed to park on the street. So the little bit of street parking you actually can, they get HOA notices for having their loud real estate tagged car on the street. And Ocean Point wasn't so much of a problem.
There is one more prominent real estate group here that they get away with that. You know, the Realtor Mercedes that's wrapped up, and no shade, he's a great guy. Well, generally speaking, you cannot advertise.
Well, it speaks to HOA politics to me.
Right.
I own in a resort, an actual resort. People get in trouble for a lot of things. Also, one of the HOA board members was like walking into someone else's garage uninvited, smoking a cigarette. And it was caught on Ring camera.
Really?
So HOA politics and power, and it's a small, tight version of bureaucracy. Some people, they're like, it's fine. I want my neighborhood orderly. I want it nice. And I live with the HOA. In fact, I'll be on the board. To each their own. I have to run and meet Mahe 2-3 miles down the street, do another showing for another client. I'm gonna leave it to Kenny. Kenny's the one who lives here. They'll probably show you some more kamakana, talk about the pools, things of that nature. I'm gonna try and get back to spill the tea. What are the negatives? What about those kids making trouble? What about the speed bump, the infamous speed bump? I'm gonna try and make it back for that. I'm gonna leave you guys with Kenny for a minute. See you at the end of the video.
Real quick, as we head over to the rec center for Kamakana, little tidbit on price points. This home on my left is the highest sold, most recent in the neighborhood at 2.075. Reason for that is it's actually the most highly sought after floor plan. It was sold furnished, and the backyard is wide open to the golf course. So it's got a pool, you know, a lot of different features that brought that price point to a north of 2, which is a 1 of 1 for the neighborhood. But generally speaking, homes in this area can go anywhere from right at $1 million to about 1.5. The current highest listed price is 1.67. Which is over by the Barbers Point golf course, just a few blocks from here. We're at my rec center, tennis court, pickleball. Any given night, you'll see 2 pickleball games going on, but you could roll it right out if you're a traditional tennis player. I think they did a pretty good job of converting without interrupting, because there are actually a lot of tennis players. I've got some neighbors and friends that were sort of against the pickleball thing. There's a big open grass area here. From time to time, they will actually do some food trucks in this parking lot just for the Kamakana neighborhood. You also have a resort style pool, lava rock design, waterfall, hot tub. Behind the tennis court is an open chunk of grass inside the gated pool area that you can reserve if you wanted to do a bounce house or have a little bit bigger party like a birthday or something like that. And there is a gym right here as well. Ellipticals, treadmills, bikes, row machines. Not a whole lot of free weights. There's a rack of dumbbells, and then there's some weightlifting equipment in there as well. Fingerprint access. Did I get the right fingerprint? Oh, check me out. We've got lounges out for sunbathing. You can see some of the barbecues, showers, restrooms, rec rooms. So if you're having a party and you want to put stuff inside over here and you've reserved it, it's like a little kitchenette that you not really for cooking, that's going to happen out here, but if you have a pizza party and you've got ice cream, you can put stuff in there so it doesn't melt. Just to put it to a point, you can see the dark blue lines on the tennis court, the pickleball net, easy, easy, easy. And there's one on the other side as well, so you could play 2 games at once, have a little foursome tournament, whatever, and then just roll it back away. I love that they did it that way so that we're not turning into a pickleball club instead of a tennis club. One of the very most important parts of our decision to buy here is less about the resort vibe and the resort feels and the golf course and all of that. It's more about the community, just how safe and generally quiet and friendly it is, and having a playground right here, basically across the street from the house, was something that was huge for my wife and I and the kids, and giving them something to do after school or after daycare, and they love it. We spend many, many, many hours here. Now that my older son plays soccer, we practice right here, and they actually also will do some movie night in the park right here. Some of the good things that we really like about this is the community vibes. Not all sunshine and rainbows. First little sip of tea, HOA and kind of the overbearing rules and regs, and part of why some people might choose to leave the area or go elsewhere. I put up party lights in my backyard right after we moved in, and I got a notice with a picture of how to do it right, saying that if I didn't correct it, they were gonna fine me $75. That was a bit of a sour taste, because it's like, that's my backyard. It wasn't like I had my Christmas lights up in May. It made me angry. Reasons why this is a resort looking area is because they are very tight on those rules. This is a neighborhood where it would be very common, and it is very common, that you'll see, maybe it's a stay-at-home mom or maybe it's a dog walker, but there's a lot of pet-friendly atmosphere here. There is a dog park just about a block from where we're standing. Yes, I'll admit, I have a dog walker because I'm out and on the road serving you guys, doing our thing 8-10 hours a day, and it's something that we think that our dog, who's a part of the family, is she needs that extra little outside time. So real quick nuance of parking here. That's the no parking sign, and that's the corner. And you also see there's nobody parked on this side. The parking security that roams around the neighborhood here, I've spoken to him as a resident in the area and said, hey, if I've got a guest or somebody staying with me, or if I have a third car, if I'm halfway between the no parking sign, are you gonna throw a warning thing on my wiper? And they say, no, we try to be pretty loose. We just want to make sure that it's not egregious. All right, so we're here at the water treatment. Oh, welcome back.
We are going. That's some Eva Beach exhaust, but you will get some car noises in Eva Beach.
I'd say the percentage is a little higher here.
Percentage of firework noise?
Yes, 100%.
Moped noise?
100+%.
Music noise?
Lifted Tacoma,
You're gonna get
windows
it.
down.
Me growing up here,
Yeah.
I lived in Eva that way. You have to come here to go surf at Barbers.
Gotcha.
The sewer smell?
Oh yeah.
It was just a thing, but there were never houses there. You know G, right? When I first moved back home, he's like, yeah, come hang out. I was like, where do you live? He's like, but a damn sewer smell. He was like, follow the smell. Do you smell it where you live?
Yeah, Coral Ridge, Seabridge probably get it the worst. And it really depends on when and where the wind is blowing, and if they're actually doing treatment. So it's a water treatment plant that we're talking about, not necessarily just a sewer.
Wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
WWTP.
Right. And there's also a refuse center right there, like literally next door. Somewhere between the two, you get the funk, and it's bad. It's pilau. It's bad.
Yeah.
But maybe once a week, I can smell it at my house, which is about, it's probably a mile that way, give or take. It can waft about that far. I think the further you get down into Ocean Point, that could be a plus. I don't want to be that close to that thing. Maybe a little bit further down.
Well, here's the thing.
But it's really bad in Parkside, I think, because the wind blows that way more often.
You don't smell it in your home, do you?
No.
And this is not a climate where people are typically windows open.
No.
Most times, central air, it's hot here. I'm sweating right now. In the home, it's not typically an issue.
No. Mililani, Makakilo, Kaneohe, you're opening your windows, maybe don't even have AC.
Yeah.
If that were here,
Yeah,
maybe that's why they put it here. I don't know. We're windows closed, AC is on, so we don't smell it at all in the house. But as soon as you come outside on a bad day, we can smell it from the playground right outside my front door. Definitely if we're driving, if we're going towards Target or going to Costco or just driving this area at all, even with the windows rolled up in the car, you can smell it. It gets pretty powerful.
That's nothing but a negative. It's like Hoakalei could be an issue on some days. It's not a dominating factor, but in these gentry neighborhoods right here, it's like it's a part of life. But if you're buying virtually, over 60% of our buyers never see the home until they get the keys. You can't smell these things, but we're gonna tell you about it. Smell and tell. I never been to this dog park.
Yep.
My first thought, it's actually nice. There's still grass. I used to have a dog. Dog park was a place for the dog to go roll around in dirt and dust and catch fleas from other dogs.
Yeah.
But this one looks nice. This is a Hoakalei dog. This is like what a Hoakalei dog park would be.
Yep. The grass is pretty well kept. There are usually a lot of dogs. It's middle of the day as we're shooting this, so pretty quiet. Everybody's at work, but weekends, mornings, evenings after work before it gets too dark.
Do you bring your dogs here?
I bring Foxy out here maybe a couple times a week, maybe 3-4 times a month.
So speed bump?
Speed
bump. Do you say
speed
bump or speed hump?
This is a speed hump. I say bump. That's just what I grew up with.
Me too, because I was born on the mainland. I had Augie on my podcast, right? Augie T, local celebrity.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, we put in speed humps. And I was like, hump? A lot of local people say hump. Yep. Leave us a comment. Do you say speed bump or speed hump? And let me know where you're from. I gotta have context. I didn't know this was such a point of contention or conversation, of debate.
There's not a lot of debate amongst residents. This is a problem. I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera, but if you look at the blacktop right here, the front ends that get wrecked.
Oh yeah, a lot of cars have scraped.
That's not just the scrape guard underneath the bumper, yeah?
No, it's just like the frame.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're having to launch there, hit this.
Yes, if you don't live in the area and you're going to Waikiki, which is just 2 blocks that way, it's dark because you're going to the food trucks for dinner.
There's no flashing lights?
There's no flashing lights, like around school area or over by the Safeway.
I would think some flashing orange lights or something.
That's why there's not a whole lot of debate. It's, hey, this needs to get fixed.
Yeah.
There needs to be something else. Stop sign, lights, flashing, pedestrian stuff, something that says it's here. The worst accident that I've seen on the island since I've lived here happened from somebody leaving Waikiki, going this way, hit it so hard that it bounced, flipped over, and the second light post is a fresh brand new one because it got knocked over and the truck was on its roof in the grass right in front of those townhomes across the street.
To the point of the channel, for the people that are going to be living here, if you live here, you know about it, whatever.
The intention is good. The execution is horrible. I think that's where I'm at. It's supposed to protect pedestrians. It's supposed to slow you down. But if you don't know it's there and you're visiting to go to the resort, it's going to catch you off guard. And it's done that in a really bad way. This is a ramp, not a speed bump, speed hump, speed table. It's a ramp. Those e-bikes go 40, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, they're like a dirt bike starter kit, you know?
They will post up a couple blocks down, somebody in the center divide hiding in the trees in the middle, given a green light, flash their little headlight, and it's okay to go. And they'll just come and jump this thing, and they'll ride wheelies, and that's not new. Mopeds, bicycles, that's a part of just EVA in general.
Yeah, but
this creates a whole like raceway with a jump at the end or a finish line, if you will.
It's kind of an upgrade because Waikiki and Ewa Beach were like the moped capitals for two different reasons, you know what I mean?
Quantity in Waikiki, volume and
aftermarket
upgraded
exhaust
aftermarket.
and cold air intake on a moped here.
Yeah.
So at least the e-bikes are quiet, but in Ewa Beach at large, storming around on an e-bike and doing hooligan things, it happens.
Yeah, it does.
It happens.
And that's a new sour thing. It's not something that was even there when we moved in. So there's a change of moped to e-bike, and there's been a lot of really bad e-bike accidents in recent weeks as well. This is more of a hooligan thing. That's a neighborhood nuisance, but on a real serious note, there's actually been some bad e-bike accidents as well. Kids that are probably too young to be riding them by themselves. Kids riding on them with multiples on one bike. There's so many of them, and there's so much traffic with all the schools. Ewa Makai, the principal of the school, banned e-bikes. You cannot take your e-bike.
15 to ride them.
Right.
But there's not supposed to be 15-year-olds in the middle school, right?
Right.
So they're like, no e-bikes. I could look at this two ways. I could look at this and, oh yeah, the community's not perfect. There are some other things to say about it, such as the occasional wafting of the sewage plant, or the wastewater treatment plant, HOA rules, speed hump, speed bump. On the other hand, you might be watching this and saying, oh, your association's not perfect. Those are very first world problems. I can see both perspectives. Let us know in the comments, what's your point of view on this whole thing?
We just have to be more careful now than we would have had to be a year ago.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody got an e-bike for Christmas.
If I have to drive this a lot, I don't want to be hitting a kid.
Right, which is what's happened 3 or 4 times in the last month or so.
A few quick things that I think of when I'm here is one, Ernie L's design golf course. You ever played it?
I've played it. It's a difficult course.
Hard course, a lot of water.
Yeah, like 56.
Beautiful. Country club, I think, is like 30-something thousand to join.
Yeah.
It's elevated, it's nice, all those things. Also here, I think about schools.
Yes.
So there are 2 elementary schools that this neighborhood zoned for.
Yep.
Now this is subject to change, disclaimer, don't hold me to it. Check the DOE website. Your elementary school is either going to be Keone'ula, a newer school that's rated more mid in the state, or Ewa Beach Elementary.
Correct.
Which is a Title I school. Not the ratings on the rating sites, not Derek's opinion, aren't as high. And when you're buying in Ocean Point, Hoakalei, one side of the street could be Keone'ula Elementary, one could be Ewa Beach Elementary. It's super important, if you must be in Keone'ula over Ewa Beach, you need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to that. Even though that one's the lower rated one on the website, it's not our opinion, your kids go there.
Kids go there. And they're actually going to be on the news pretty quick. You're going to love this.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to change your mind, but they do an EBES credit union.
Okay.
So the 5th graders learn ledger and checks and balances, credits and debits.
Oh yeah?
And my kindergartner opened up an account at Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union, and he can go Tuesdays and Thursdays to the library, and a 5th grader will take a deposit and allow him to withdraw.
Really?
And he gets receipts and he gets a little money. So they're going to do a little clip about that, and they read a lot. They're in top 10 in the state for reading minutes as a school overall.
Yeah.
So there's some good to it. At this level of age, if I was to say the most important part of education to me is math and reading.
Yeah.
Like, they seem to do well at that.
But I think that's just a testament to Hawaii schools. You can't know just from reading a thing. We tend to take care of our young. We do have different, levels of poverty and wealth. It's not easy to just look at a thing online and just know. If you have questions about that, I have a client who's taught at that school. We have Kenny, whose kids go to that school. So reach out to us if you have questions about that.
Absolutely.
Other reason we stopped here.
If you find yourself here at night after going to Waikai, come this way, let's check you out, because this is where they will put those DUI checkpoints. They haven't done it recently, it's been a few months, but when they were doing it regularly, weekly, or a couple times a month, it was right here, and it's because this is an area where they could set up if they needed to actually do a breathalyzer test or something and kind of get off the street. As a resident, I think they should do it way back down there.
Yeah.
Because that's where they're coming from, and there's 3 different ways to get out of here. They did do one at the waste treatment plant. They did one that one. I was like, perfect. So now you have to guess, right? And not to say Waikai is like the biggest nightclub thing and there's drunk drivers all over the place all the time.
And have fun though.
you're coming through a very dense residential neighborhood to get to that thing.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate as a resident that they're sort of trying to protect it.
So for all the Honolulu Police Department officers out there, Kenny is telling everyone how to circumvent the DUI checkpoint, telling them where to turn to avoid you guys.
It's a neighborly suggestion. It's a good thing that you moved it around one time. Continue to do that.
I'm not a big HOA captain type of, I don't, want all these rules, but if I'm gonna have a place for people to drink and party in my neighborhood, I would be for the checkpoints. I don't want drunk drivers around kids and stuff. So.
One last bad point, and the thing that's the newest issue for us that's made us rethink with kids that are coming into bike riding age, they will not have an e-bike anytime soon. My kids are 6 and 4, so. But right up here a block away at Kapolei Parkway and Keoneula, major pedestrian traffic every morning. You've got a middle school here, an elementary school there, an elementary school here, high school across the street from the elementary school. There was a major e-bike accident in the intersection there, and that kid ended up being critically injured. I believe that they're doing okay now. As we talk about hooligan and shenanigans and kids being kids and just getting hurt, there's a nuance to that, and we want to make sure and kind of bring some light and have some fun with it. But serious news has come out in the last few weeks where Eva Mackay has banned them. There was an accident closer to the KFC, and there's been 3 or 4 where people are ending up in the hospital because it's just very dense pedestrian, and e-bikes tend to maybe go a little too fast, or you can't hear them because it's not a moped, whatever that dynamic is. We want it to be better, we want it to be safer. There's a lot of conversation in the news and in the neighborhood with HOAs, so there are some good things being talked about or some improvements that we're trying to make it better.
All right, one quick question. With all you know now, having lived here 3 years?
3 years.
Would you
almost exactly
choose Hoakalei again? Would you, if you're coming here right now, would you guys be buying here? Would you be buying somewhere else?
We would be buying here if we were doing it all over again 3 years later. There's no hesitation in my answer to that. Knowing what we know now, we'd be more open to something Ho'opili or Kaneohe because we know now what some of those differences are. But I still think that if the house that we bought was available to us and we were able to see it, we would still pick that house and we would still pick this neighborhood. I give you those bads, and I say for the most part, I think those bads are changeable.
The bads aren't that bad.
They're not. The upside is way bigger than the downside.
It's just a big suburb.
Yeah.
We have suburbs where the main road is 2 lanes on each side. It's 4-lane main roads.
Right.
And a stoplight.
Yep.
Like, that's a big suburb.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you're not a big suburb person, but if you don't mind this big, huge suburb, probably the biggest on the island, outside of the Greater Mililani Town Association.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest on the island. It's
I
just
think
a big
it's
suburb with some big suburb things.
The resort style that we talked about earlier on, it's just missing the commercial element to make it a destination point type of resort area. It's resort vibe, it's residential vibe.
Destination's a good word. When I think resort, I'm thinking that it's a destination. When you get more of these shops and more of that Waikai stuff, I think it'll be a destination.
Agreed.
In the neighborhood. So. All right, guys, that was Hoakalei. Some of the price points, some of the goods, some of the bads. Kenny lives in here. So reach out to our team. Go to coreteamhawaii.com. Go to the very bottom, fill out the contact form, click on the videos, watch us some more. Reach out to us for all your Hawaii real estate needs, selling and buying. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for coming to the neighborhood, guys.